Alright, so we got both of our grids made here. You can see I have it lined up how I want it. I have it going off my page a little bit. That is okay. So I'm going to try not to move this. Yours is going to be drawn on your paper, so you don't have to worry about it moving. But if I wanted, I could probably tape it in here. But I don't care that much about taping it. So, okay, so we're going to get started. So first I'm going to start by finding a good starting point. And I think probably starting right here is a good place to start. So I'm going to look at where I'm at. I'm at F, and I'm going to go down to F3. So I'm going to find out my paper over here. I'm going to go F and down to 3, okay? So now I need to start looking at the shapes. It's very important to look at the positive and negative shapes. We talked about that, so the positive shape would be our butterfly. The negative shape is around it. Okay, it's important when you draw to always look at the shapes, and especially when you're drawing with a grid to look at the negative shapes. So I'm going to come over here and I can see that where my butterfly's leg crosses over here. So I'm in F3 and I'm going to say it crosses about right here. Okay? I'm going to look at this little tiny shape that it makes. Okay? See, this is why you don't want it to move. It comes down and around. Okay? And you need to really look at the shape so it's kind of curved there, and then it barely comes out right here. Okay? It crosses through. We're going to keep looking at both positive and negative, so we're going to make sure we have a little awkward rectangle here, so we can come out and say, okay, this is where his other leg comes down through, and now we got our awkward rectangle coming down. Okay? Alright, so we're going to come through and we're going to say, look at where it crosses over here, right here, okay, comes down, we have our stick, and mine is bubbled up a little bit, so if you want to use a bag like I have, I'd cut it in half so it's not as thick and it doesn't bubble up and move on you, okay, so we're going to really look at the negative shapes and positive shapes. So it can get kind of hard to keep track of where you're at. I had a little square here made up. Okay, here it is. So a good tool, so we talked about labeling it, your alphabet on the top and numbers down the side. Okay, labeling it is a really good tool to not get lost, but then sometimes it still happens. So using a little square like this, it fits over each one of these squares. You can put it on your paper over here so you can focus in on where you're at. You could also put it one here and one over here so you can focus in on each square that you're at. Okay, and figuring out where things are at and where they need to go. Okay, so it's very simple to use a grid. It's all about looking at the shapes, where things cross. Okay, so I start from here, I come over and I say, okay, that's maybe a quarter of the way into my square, so I'm going to come a quarter of the way into my square over here. Okay, I'm going to draw in the line. So you guys want to draw very lightly. I'm drawing a little bit heavy so it will show up on the video. Okay, so draw lightly so that way you guys can erase. Always draw light first and then we'll go back in and add more detail later. Okay? So I am just simply working my shapes square by square. So I'm down here in this one, and I have it a little bit wider, so I'm going to bring it in. Okay, you guys are welcome to erase your mistakes and make sure that you are drawing lightly so you can erase those mistakes. So as you get going, you're going to just continue to add more detail. So this butterfly is very detailed. If I wanted to put in each and every one of these little shapes, it would take me a long time. It'd probably be a much better picture if I took the time to put all these in. But I could probably just make up my own shapes without really having to copy each one of these individually. So notice when I'm drawing, I'm not just pushing really hard and trying to make one perfect line, okay? I'm drawing very lightly. I'm moving from my shoulder, and I don't have my hand rested, okay? Get your hand up off, rest it on your finger so you can move and you can make nice fresh lines, okay? So you can have multiple lines over one another as long as they're light. Okay, so you can still see which lines you need to use as long as they're light. You don't need to get it right the very first time, but just keep your arm up so you can keep going back over it to get the basic shape. And then, like I said, we're going to go back in later and add more detail. So right now I kind of lost where I was at, so I'm going to go C4. C4. Okay, so on C4, I think I've crossed over just a little too far. So I'm going to go D4, picture kind of off here. There we go. So if you ever get lost, use your alphabet and your numbers to figure out where you were at. And I want you guys to take a lot more time than I am to get it exactly how it is on your grid. Okay, so I'm going to start here in C5. Okay, so C5 down here under the Okay, so I have my basic shape here of my butterfly, and now I would start going back in and adding more details. So I'm at 7D, I could go D7 right here and start getting this bigger shape in. I would get my bigger shapes in first, and then I would start worrying about these little things, the lines coming out, all this detail. Okay? So get your basic shapes in, and then we'll start filling it in with the more small details and the small shapes.